Last weekend, someone showed me the amount of money they had in their checkings account. They were super excited because it's the most amount of money they've ever had in their checking account. On one hand, it was super exciting to see them level up in life, but on the other hand, so many alarms in my head were ringing. Banks make on average about $100 on every $1,000 of yours that they lend out, and they give you about 60 cents. Meanwhile, high yield savings accounts are paying $40 to $50 for every $1,000. So in this video, I want to talk about what banks do with your money, what a high yield savings account is, and things to look out for in a high yield savings account. And ultimately, my wish is for you to fill your own bag instead of filling your bank's bag. I'm an engineer turned educator and part-time creator, so if you want to learn about how to make money, save money, and invest money, definitely give this channel a subscribe. Let's talk about what banks do with your deposits. A lot of people don't know this. They actually don't keep all of your money on reserve, and that's because they want to maximize their profits and they want to earn interest on that sitting cash. So what they do is they will keep about 10%, 0 to 10% according to bank rate, of your money in reserves, so that whenever you go ask for a withdrawal, they'll actually have money to give you. What do they do with the remainder 90%-ish of the money? Well, they'll put that money to work, and they do this by either buying bonds, usually government bonds, or they'll lend out your money to their customers. And depending on the type of loan, so home, personal, or business loan, and their credit score, that will determine the rate that they lend the money out for. A national average though for just a personal loan is about 10.97. So of course this means that some loans are higher and some loans are lower. So what that means, for every $1,000 of your money that the bank lends out on a personal loan, they'll keep about $109 and they'll give you about 60 cents. So as we can see, this is a bit of a problem for us, especially if the money is just sort of sitting there. So you might be wondering at this point, how much money exactly should we keep in a checkings account? Is this a call to eliminate your usage of a bank? Absolutely not. A traditional checkings account is very useful. It serves a very important role in your personal finance management system. However, as we can see, having too much money that's just sitting there is a bad idea financially speaking. So what I recommend is to have enough money in your checking account for this month's expenses and a bit of a buffer. That buffer can be determined by you. I would say the less control you have over your finances, the bigger that buffer can be. But the more understanding you have of your expenses, the less of a buffer you'll need, just because you understand what's coming in and what's coming out on a regular basis, whether that's monthly, quarterly, annually, etc. So what do we do with the rest? This is where high yield savings accounts come into play. And as we discussed, they have much higher payouts, about 4 to 5% right now, meaning you'll get $40 to $50 on your $1,000 deposited as opposed to the 60 cents. And these are online based banks, so that means their overhead costs are significantly lower. So they extend their savings to their customers by giving them a higher interest rate. The rates of a high yield savings account are determined off of the Federal Reserve rate. So the higher the Federal Reserve rates are, like right now, the higher your high yield savings account rates will be. And inversely, the lower the Federal Reserve rates are, the lower you'll be getting in your high yield savings account. But even when the Federal Reserve rates are low, like let's say around 2022, your high yield savings accounts were still paying a lot more than your traditional checking account. So all in all, it's always a great idea to have short-term funds in your high yield savings account as opposed to your checking account. You definitely don't want to overthink opening a high yield savings account. There's 5 things that you should look out for, and if your high yield savings account meets these 5 things, then you're golden. The first and very most important thing that you should look for is FDIC insurance. So FDIC insurance is basically a federal promise for you as a depositor that your money is safe with that bank, specifically $250,000 per individual at a given bank. You do want to look out for companies who disguise their product as a high yield savings account, but in fact sometimes they're not actually even a bank and are definitely not FDIC insured. So you always want to first check to make sure that you're federally insured. And then the second thing you you want to look out for are competitive rates. The last thing you want to do is go around chasing point percentage rates. Banks are always trying to compete with each other, so you might be tempted to kind of hop from one bank to another. So instead, what you could do is do some research on the history of that company's rates. So as long as they're competitive consistently and rank in the like top 3 to 5 category for rates, you'll be fine. And the third thing you want to look out for are different savings buckets. So this will give you an opportunity to not just put all of your sitting cash into just like one account. It'll instead let you give meaningful names to portions of your money. You want to separate emergency fund from your travel fund, for example. Fourth thing that you want to look out for is that it's easy to use. The last thing you want to do is not be able to even interact with the user interface. Definitely test out the app or look at customer reviews and things like that. And the fifth thing you want to look out for is customer service. Can these people answer questions when they come about? Give them a call, see how that experience is, or just look up some reviews. Some other things that you want to keep in mind also are minimum balances. Some high yield savings accounts do require a minimum balance. So if you don't have that minimum balance, it doesn't mean that all hope is lost. You could also, look at another place that doesn't have a minimum balance. The other thing to keep in mind is that because these are online banks, you're not gonna have ATMs. So you're gonna wanna transfer any money that you wanna withdraw into your checking account a few days before you need it, since it takes about 2 to 3 business days to transfer. And the other thing to look out for here, or to be aware of, is that most high yield savings accounts will only allow you to withdraw 6 times from each account. That's really more than enough for this type of money anyway. It's a savings account, so it's not likely that you're gonna need access to it for more than 6 times a month. So when you're looking for a high yield savings account, don't just look at the rate and be sort of like enamored by the rate. Look at all of these factors because it'll really inform your experience with them kind of on a longer term basis. Okay, and the last thing that you want to do before opening a high yield savings account is see if you can get a referral code from someone at that bank that you want to bank at. Usually they'll give you a promotional bonus, so like maybe 1% for 3 months or something like that. So that could be, an extra $10 per $1,000 that you deposit. In the comments, let me know where you bank if you do have a high yield savings account, and feel free to share your referral as well. And tell us why you like that high yield savings account. So I specifically use Marcus by Goldman Sachs. I've been using it. It's the first high yield savings account that I opened. At the time, I was doing my own due diligence and looking up, what the best high yield savings account was to go with. And I like them because they were just the best overall company to go with. They were consistently in the top 3 for rates. So I've had a great experience with them, and they've checked all 5 boxes. I will also link my referral in the description. You do get an extra 1% for 3 months. So you'll get 5.15% back on your money for 3 months. And if you refer somebody else, you continue to get that like 3% bonus as well. So if you're curious to see how I manage my high yield savings account, like all the buckets that I have, you can check out my newsletter. I actually took screenshots of everything so you could see all of the buckets that I have and how much I have in them at the moment. So stop accepting pennies from your current bank and open up a high yield savings account ASAP. If you like this video, YouTube also thinks you might like this video, so check it out. See you next week.